And welcome back once again, students, and today we're going to make this little, this big color box, and we have like these 9 different colors in here like this. So obviously you can pick other colors than the ones I picked, but I'm just going to showcase this because I like it. So I'm going to go back over to my little example video thing. I'm going to remove my list here, and I'm going to just start out with, we're going to make a table. So we got our HTML in our body. So inside our body, let me just spread this out some so we can see it. We have to make ourselves a table in order to align things so that they stretch and span in a certain specific spot. So instead of having it, having to do all these tabs over, we can just hard code where one thing starts and where one thing ends. So let's do something like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have to make myself a table. And the tag for table is legitimately just table. So here's the start of the table, here's the end of the table. Start, end, start, end. Inside those tables, tables are made up of rows. So a table row is literally TR. And there's one table row. And we can make another table row. And we can make ourselves another table row. So we have 3 different table rows inside of our table. So which means our table, if we were to put something in it, we'd have, like, blah, 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 blah. And then we'd have another blah, 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 blah. And we'd have another blah, 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 blah. In theory, it would all pop up on 3 separate rows. However, these rows are all currently empty. So inside those tables, we need to have inside our rows, we need to have table data. So if table row is TR, what do you think table data is? If you said TD, you are in fact correct. So let me just do that. TD, I'll do that. And now I have TD, table data. So now if you notice, if I type something in over here, it does that, it does that, and does that. There is a separation between them. It's very slight, but there is a separation. Now, here's where we actually need to hard code some stuff. Because right now all we've been doing is we've been putting in some tags. Let's actually determine how wide and how big and all that our table is going to wind up being. So we're going to have a 3x3 grid, so 3 rows, 1 row, 2 row, 3 rows, and inside the rows they'll all have 3 different cells, if you want to think of it like that, like Excel. They'll have 3 cells, so we'll have 3, 3, and 3, so we'll have 9 total. Let's just change the style of this. So style and equals, let's change the width, and let's change the width to 900 pixels. So we know that it's going to be 900 pixels wide. While we're at it, let's change the rows as well. So style equals, let's go with height, because we need to change the height then. Let's change the height to 200 pixels. So now, in theory, if I were to, type something in like that, it's 200 pixels in. See how it's 200 pixels down? It jumped down 200 pixels. And if I were to do the same thing here with a style equals width 200 pixels, and I try to type something else down here, now you see how it's separating itself. And of course, because there's not anything, it's not inside any data there, it's not actually doing anything as far as what you would expect. So we just have to, style equals width 200 pixels as well. And now we'll have 3 rows of 200 pixels. So we know we're going, 600 deep or something, right? Or I guess if we want to make this a perfect square, we can make it 300, 300, and 300 for the... Oops, I didn't want the width, I wanted the height. This is where you need to know the difference between height and width. So I'm making things, height is up and down, it's how tall it is. The width is left and right, how wide it is. So in theory, now let me try that, blah, 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 blah. Type that in there, and let's see if blah, 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 will it still pop up above? It still pops up above because there's no table data. But if I put table data inside this, table data, and now I go blah, 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 now you'll notice it's popped down right there. So let's make ourselves another table data, and I'll make myself another table data, and I'll do the same thing here, table data, go in here, table data, and I'll go in here, table data. So I can also decide how much these widths are going to be for these table datas, because I know I have a width of the entire table being 900 across. Well, in that case, instead of having it just be 900 across, and then, you know, right now it'll just stretch and shrink, but it's my maximum of 900. It'll go 900 before wrapping text. So how about we go style equals width, and I'll say 300. So I know that one's 300 across. So if I go 300, same thing with the style over here, 300, whoops, style, and I'll just keep changing the width of everything inside these opening tags. And I'll just keep making more and more and more and more of these. And of course, the TD, I wound up deleting that on it. There we go. Put that. Whoops. And once again, it thought I was doing a TDS, not TD. There we go. So now, in theory, I have myself a table that is 900 pixels wide. Every row is only 200 pixels high. So I've got 600 going up and down, and I've got 900 going across. And every single cell inside that is going exactly 300 and stopping. So in theory, each one of the cells inside this table is going to be in the same general spot and location. They'll be even. They'll be identical. So if I were to go blah, 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 right there, and then blah, 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 right there, and then blah, 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 right there, you see they have actually stretched themselves out 3 across like that. Same with this guy, same with this guy, same with this guy, and then same with this guy down here, this guy down here, and this guy down here. So we know we have ourselves a functionally working table, but it's still just, you know, black text on a white background. I mean, maybe I could make a game of tic-tac-toe out of this, but it's not necessarily something pretty to look at. So, instead what I'm going to do, instead of having any sort of text inside these table datas, because we've done enough with text, let's actually change some background colors. We're going to make this a colorful grid. So, instead of making all of this data just text-based, we're going to also just go and change the background color. So let's go back inside our quotes and let's change, you know, put a semicolon in there to separate it between, you know, what first thing we're changing and the second thing we're changing. And I'll put background, and I'll put dark red. And now it made a square of dark red. So in this time, instead, I'll do background red. And you see we have separated it. There's the 300 across, and it's separated itself. There's the other 300 by 200. And then, of course, on this other one, you think there'd be a light red, but unfortunately, light red does not exist. But we know what light red is. It's pink. And now we have red, dark red, and pink, all on that first row. Now, you can pick whatever colors you want. You do not have to pick mine. So, let me go and pick... I'm just picking red, green, and blue, specifically for the fact that those are the 3 colors of primary colors of computer monitors. Red, green, and blue, it creates white. So if you ever looked at an old television really, really close, you could see individual pixels of red, green, and blue. That's what I'm doing here. Background, dark blue. Whoops, what happened? Style, background, because I made it 2 words instead of 1 word. There we go. Like I said, typos matter, as we found in that video too when I kept doing SCR instead of SRC. Background blue. And of course, over here I'll do background light blue. And it doesn't understand light blue because I typoed it. But there we go, now it understands light blue. And I'll do the same thing over here for this data as well. And I'll do, you know, background dark green. And I'll do a background green. And I'll do a background light green. Not light green, light green. There we go. And now if I stretch this all the way over here, you see that I have made myself a 900 pixel grid. It's 900 across, 600 down, and it has, you know, every single cell, each and every one of them are exactly 300 across and 200 up, and you can see clearly the divide between them all with this white line. So I hard-coded it exactly how big it needed to be inside each individual table data and table row and the table. And then I just changed the background 9 different times to different colors I felt like. So once you have a color grid of some sort, go and save this. If you need to, copy and paste it into a Word document or a text edit or some sort of Word notepad, whatever, and send that through Moodle. And then I will see you in the big project next week, where you'll be making a multi-page website that does in fact use colors. So you have a great day, and I'll see you next week.